एवरीवन वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल द सोलफुल डायरी। आज के वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे सीमस हेनी की पोम द बॉगलैंड के बारे में। पोएट के बारे में हम पहले ही एक वीडियो में डिस्कस कर चुके हैं जिसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में। चलिए आज पोम के बारे में डिस्कस करते हैं। पोम को इन डेप्थ डिस्कस करने से पहले जान लेते हैं उसके कुछ की फीचर्स। हेनी's poem, inspired by T.P. Flanagan, explores the Irish bog as a metaphor for the deep, bottomless past and its value to contemporary Ireland. It was published in 1969 in the collection Door into the Dark. It is divided into 7 stanzas, each of which contains 4 lines. These are known as quatrains. The lines do not conform to a specific rhyme scheme, but that doesn't mean that there aren't moments of rhyme in the text. Heaney uses half or slant rhymes throughout the poem. They are seen through the repetitions of assonance or consonants. This means that either a vowel or consonant sound is reused within one line or multiple lines of verse. The poet chose to make use of scattered instances of rhyme in order to provide the text with some rhythmic unity, but not get bogged down by a particular structure. This technique also ensures that the focus remains on the images and their meanings. It also speaks to the true complexity of free verse poetry. For example, the words skeleton and elk in the second stanza, which is connected with similar vowel sounds, are missing in millions in the fifth stanza. Speaker begins the text by telling the reader that Ireland does not have prairies. It is enclosed and wild, it is unfenced or unconfined, but it also keeps crusting. The third stanza of Bogland speaks to the dismantling of history and heritage, and undefined they come into the bog and takes the great Irish elk. The poem ends with the speaker stating that no one is going to be able to mine coal there, rather they are only fallen trees and pioneers digging into the history of country. Stanza 1. We have no prairies to slice a big sun at evening. Everywhere the eye concedes to encroaching horizon. In the first stanza, the speaker begins by referring to we. Heaney is speaking about the Irish people from a general perspective rather than just his own. His words describe Ireland, its history, and its physical landscape. He tells the listener the Irish do not have prairies. There are no big open places the sun can cast its light down on. The horizon is always close, never at a distance. He describes this as if it is encroaching or anyone trying to look into the distance. This makes Ireland seem as though it is enclosed, cramped, and full. It is the Bogland referenced in the title. Stanza 2. It's woot into the cyclops eye of a tarn. Our unfenced country is bog that keeps crusting between the sides of the sun. In the second stanza, the eye turns inward to a tarn or small mountain lake. He goes on to directly compare Ireland to a bog. It is unfenced or unconfined, but it also keeps crusting. He's thinking about the bogland between the sides of the sun. This should make one think of good times and bad. The opening and closing of an eye and how it relates to the bog. The speaker sees the land as very much alive. It watches as eyes do, but does not act. Stanza 3. They have taken the skeleton of the great Irish elk out of the pit, set it up, an astounding crate full of air. The third stanza of Bogland speaks to the dismantling of history and heritage. The undefined they, seemingly a reference to colonizers or anyone wanting to take advantage of the land, has removed important things. These are symbolized though the great Irish elk or deer. It is now extinct, therefore making it all the more important. The intruding they took the elk from out of the pit, a layer of soil usually found in bogs, and set it up. Irish history is being put on display, set out like a fossil of an extinct animal for onlookers to marvel at. The last line is interesting as the speaker refers to the discovery as astounding but also as full of fear. It is in the end meaningless and worthless. This could also reference the fact that once removed from the bog, any preserved animal would start to fall apart. In this case, when Irish history is removed from its origins, it disintegrates. Stanza 4. Butter sunk under more than 100 years was recovered salty and white. The ground itself is kind black butter. The speaker continues to describe the land in it. Butter sunk under it was there for more than 100 years, but rather than falling apart, it came back out as it went in. It was salty and white when it was recovered, which leads the speaker to consider how similar the land itself is to butter. In contrast, the land is black rather than white butter. It is clear through this vibrant and complicated depiction of the land that the speaker cares deeply about it and wants to find a way to accurately represent it. Stanza 5. Melting and opening underfoot, missing its last definition. By millions of years, they will never dig coal here. The land, just like butter, melts underfoot it. It opens up when trod on. As the speaker tries to come to some definition of what the land is like, he states that it is millions of years from its last definition. This indicates that the land is either still changing or has not changed for that period of time. At this point, a reader should notice how important time is becoming to the poem. Each stanza has an element within it that speaks to the passage of time and impact it has on the land. The stanza concludes with the speaker stating that those who the speaker sees as outsiders, will never dig coal here. They won't be able to come into the bogland as they might in other places and start mining. Stanza 6. Only the waterlogged trunks of great first of dust bulb our pioneers keep striking inward and downward. Rather than coal, the only things present in the land are waterlogged trunks of great firs. This speaks against the wilderness and untamed nature of Ireland. It does not have the industrial presence that other countries do. Its pioneers are still searching. These pioneers are added into the text as a direct comparison to American pioneers. Just as the prairie, land and the first stanza reference the American landscape, both speak to expansion and exploration. The pioneers of Ireland are searching but into the past rather than the future. They are going into the center of the bog and town. Continuing the metaphor, the pioneers are searching for and through the history of Ireland, it seems like they are not reaching any solid final conclusions. Their journey continues on. Stanza 7. Every layer this strip seems camped on before. The bog holes might be Atlantic seepage. The wet center is bottomless. In the last four lines of Bogland, the speaker continues to describe the efforts of the pioneers. They are stripping away the layers of the bog, but whenever they get to what they think is a new level, it turns out to have been camped on before. The efforts seem to be getting them nowhere. The final line speaks about how bottomless the bog is. The wet center goes on forever, and those who want to recover from the past are going nowhere. It is clear the speaker feels disappointed by this feature of his country and its history. Poetic devices. There are also a number of other poetic techniques at work within the text. They include alliteration, enjambment, and juxtaposition. In the first lines and toward the end of the poem, with a reference to pioneers, Heaney juxtaposes two different kind of landscapes that which exists in the American West and that of Ireland. The latter has its own pioneers, but they search through the bogland for information about the past. This is contrasted with the American prairies and the pioneers who traveled during the Great Westward expansion. They were looking towards the future. Alliteration is another important technique in Bogland. It occurs when words are used in succession or at least appear close together and begin with the same letter. For example, black butter in the fourth stanza and sights and sun in the second. Enjambment can be seen when a line is cut off before its natural stopping point. It forces a reader down to the next line and the next line quickly. One has to move forward in order to comfortably resolve a phrase or sentence. For example, the transition between line 3 and 4, the sixth stanza. Here, a reader has to move to the fourth line to find out how the pioneers were searching. Themes of the poem Bogland. The primary themes of Seamus Heaney's poem The Bogland are Irish national identity, the complex and sometimes harsh landscape of Ireland, the connection between the land and its history, and the idea of hidden, often overlooked beauty within the seemingly barren bogland, essentially using the bog as a metaphor to explore the deep, sometimes mysterious roots of Irish culture and identity. The Irish landscape. The poem vividly describes the boggy terrain of Ireland, emphasizing its unique characteristics like the unfenced nature, the sour breath of the water, and the crusting surface, which are all integral to the Irish landscape. National identity. By exploring the bogland, Heaney is metaphorically delving into the complexities of Irish identity, suggesting that, like the bog, can be seen as both barren and rich, with hidden depths and a complex history. History and memory. The bog is also a symbol of the past, as it often preserves ancient artifacts, hinting at the deep historical roots of the Irish people and the stories embedded within the land. Beauty in its seemingly barren. While a bog might appear desolate at first glance, the poem also highlights its unique beauty, suggesting that even in harsh environments there is a hidden aesthetic quality to be found. थैंक यू। आई होप आज की वीडियो आपको पसंद है। कैसी लगी हमें कमेंट करके बताएं और हमें ये भी कमेंट करके बताएं कि आप आने वाले वीडियोस किस टॉपिक पर देखना चाहते हैं। अगर वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू माय चैनल। मिलते हैं कल एक और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियो के साथ शाम 4 बजे। थैंक यू।